If you've ever been to a tiki bar like Smuggler's Cove or San Francisco's famed Tonga Room, you have one man to thank and you probably don't know much about him.
That's right. He's probably not someone you've heard of before or about, but two filmmakers are trying to change that. Their new film, The Donn of Tiki, dives into the life of Donn Beach, aka the Beachcomber. His life and career inspire the tiki bar and tiki culture we know today.
And we're joined now by two of the directors of the film, Alex Lamb and Maxwell. Alex, Max, we appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. We're glad.
How did you get the idea for this film? Were you just at a tiki bar knocking back some zombies or painkillers and thought, how did we get here? What's the genesis of this?
Well, Alex kind of got into tiki bars a little bit before 2020, and when everything was sort of shut down, neither of us were working a lot, and we thought we'd start a short project about some of the older tiki bars in LA, where we're from. And when we started working on this and doing some research, we realized that this fascinating character, Donn Beach, who most people consider to be sort of the godfather of tiki, had just this incredible, interesting story, and we wanted to dig into that. And so the project grew and eventually became a feature-length documentary.
Can I just, I'm fascinated by so many things, including the whole stop motion animation and how you kind of use that and, old stuff and marry it together. But first, we've got to get to the bottom of Donn Beach, okay? He had a different name, and then he became Donn with one N, and then he became Donn with two N's. Explain that whole thing.
Yeah, this guy's got more AKAs than a 90s rapper. Like, who is this guy?
And where's he from?
He does. So he grew up in East Texas, actually.
Yeah.
He eventually found his way to Hollywood. He was involved in the early kind of 1930s, 20s and 30s Hollywood scene. He had traveled around the world as a teenager and in his early 20s and collected all of this stuff on his journeys through the South Pacific. And so when Hollywood is making these South Seas pictures in that time period, he worked as a technical advisor, and he would rent all of his stuff and advise on these films. So he was very connected to the Hollywood scene, and that's where he opened his first location, Donn the Beachcomber, in 1933, or maybe a little bit earlier.
Maybe, yeah. They say he opened the day after Prohibition ended, but
of course.
That sounds kind of fishy to us.
Yeah, of course it was the day after Prohibition ended, because he wasn't serving drinks during Prohibition. No.
Right.
We got to talk about how you tell this story. You obviously interview a lot of experts. You go to a lot of tiki bars all across the world, but you also use some really cool stop motion animation that takes us back to like 1960s. How did you decide to use that and use it to be able to tell this interesting story?
Well, it was really something we came up with out of necessity. We had these really cool tapes of an interview Donn Beach did near the end of his life, probably about 3 years before he passed away. And this was the first time we or anyone we know had heard these tapes. Even all the experts that we interviewed, they had read some of these transcripts, but nobody had heard his voice. And when we heard the tapes, you're like, this guy has so much charisma and he's such a good storyteller. We need to see him. We don't want to see a reel-to-reel tape player and transcripts of what he's saying. We want to see him. And stop motion just seemed like it was the best way to do it. So we contacted some people we knew at Mystery Meat Media, a Bay Area animation company, and they, we gave them the transcripts we wanted to use. We showed them how we lit all of our interviews of real people, and we said we want to light him just like that, so it looks like we interviewed him for this documentary, and he becomes a real person in his film, sort of post-mortem.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Look, before we let you go, tell folks where they can see the Donn of Tiki in the Bay Area, because you got some screenings coming up, right?
We do, yeah. We're kicking off a theatrical tour this year, and the first screening is this Saturday, May 17th, at the Great Star Theater in San Francisco. That'll be at 6:30. There's a pre-party at Smuggler's Cove for VIP ticket holders. That'll start at 4 p.m. And then we're staying in the Bay on Sunday. We'll be playing in San Jose. Dr. Funk, tiki bar down there, is hosting this Tiki Bazaar that day. So if you want to come down and check out some Hawaiian shirts and mugs, and there's some great artists that are going to be vending there.
Yep. And then after the film, they're going to have a zombie special at their bar as an after party.
So San Jose at 7 p.m. on Sunday.
Well, good thing you're doing the zombies after you watch the film, because otherwise you're probably not going to be up for it. Alex,
we tried it the other way once, and everyone fell asleep.
Exactly. Not a knock on the film, of course. Alex Lamb Maxwell with the Donn of Tiki. We appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much, guys.